Hello, my lovely.
Darling, how are you?
Very well. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well.
Good.
Yes.
Good, good. It is delightful to see you. So here we are, ready for the next new moon in Libra, which is next Tuesday, the 21st of October. And buckle up, there's a lot going on, huge amount going on. So bear with me because I'm gonna give you a huge amount of information, but we can talk it through as we go if you want. So huge amount of information. So the main thing is the overall context that we're working in right now, which is we now in the run-up period to the December solstice, which is the 21st of December. So this time now, because we had the equinox just a few weeks ago on the 22nd of September, and we're now in this phase of running up to the winter solstice, and that's the culmination of sort of here in the northern hemisphere of that darkness point, that ultimate inward depth of winter midpoint. And we're in that phase now where we're sort of coming out of the summer, and it's almost like I like to think of it as a sort of a downhill slope down into the darkness and the coziness and the warmth, not in a negative way, but in a sort of, yeah, let's hunker down, let's carry on harvesting the stuff that we've had through the summer and use that to nourish ourselves and sort of get comfy and cozy. So this is the time to be becoming comfy and cozy, if you like. And that context is really important because of the stuff that's going on right now. We've also got Samhain's Halloween on the 31st of October, which is very much the cross-quarter festival, which means it's the midpoint between the equinox and the winter solstice. Okay, so that's that cross-quarter festival. So that's coming on us quite fast, 2.5 weeks away. And that is then the real sort of down into the depths towards the midwinter point here in the Northern Hemisphere. And there's a huge amount of astrology and cosmic influences going on right now in the energies and in the run up to that December solstice. And everything feels like it's changing and coming to a crisis point. So the overall energies that we've got between now and that solstice, this is sort of generic really, and we'll touch on it in each of these sessions, but and I'll come into the detail of this new moon shortly, but this time is really, the whole of 2025 has been about almost like disintegrating and visualizing and witnessing the old and seeing the crumbling of that. And it's things have come to the surface, whether that's on a global stage or personally, things have been coming to the surface that have needed dealing with and healing and releasing and letting go. And we're sort of in the final throes now of that. And yes, it's chaotic, and yes, it's noisy, and yes, it can be quite fear-inducing. But what's coming because of that is it's like anything. It's like if you've got a cupboard that you haven't touched for years and it's full of old junk, you have to go through the pain of taking it all out and seeing it so that you can work out you've got space now in the cupboard to put the new things in. It's that energy. So I really want to invite you, even if it feels like, yeah, everything's disintegrating right now, everything's crumbling. Oh my word, it's all chaos. Yeah, you're in that horrible point where you've taken everything out of the cupboard and spread it all on the floor, and it looks 10 times worse than you ever thought it could be, right? And it's like, oh, what have I done? Why did I even start this job? It's that point that we are in right now, okay? Hold your nerve, keep going. It's okay. It's going to be okay. And as you sort through all the stuff that's laid out on the floor from your cupboard, you are going to start to see, oh, well, that's rubbish, so I can get rid of that. And that, well, that can go to a charity shop, or that can file away somewhere. Or, oh, I'd forgotten I got that. I'll keep that. That's nice. Keep going through that process. because that's exactly what we are going through right now. And we're going through it internally as much as it is also playing out on the global stage. Okay. And this is going to continue up until this solstice. The new stuff really starts next year. There's a really crunch point in February. And then again, March, April, May, there's going to be really big changes happening then. Really big shifts in energy. 2026 is going to feel very different to 2025. Phew. Okay. We're all feeling that. Believe me, I'm feeling it as well. Yes. It's going to feel very different. But you have to go through the chaos of clearing out the old cupboard before you can start to rebuild it and create a lovely, shiny new one. That's the point that we're in. Okay, so don't lose hope at this point. But I'll carry on with the cupboard analogy because it seems to work. That actually, while you are now in the midst of sorting through all the stuff you've taken out of your cupboard, and you can see the dust in the corners of the cupboard, and you're going to have to clear it, and you might even repaint it and stuff before you put things back. You're starting to see the scale of what there is, and you're seeing it openly. And this time, particularly this new moon, is the time to start making choices. What do you want that cupboard to look like next year when it's all shiny and fabulous? What do you actually want to use it for? So when it comes to you personally, if you start to look at, you've been looking at yourself, you've been finding all the old bits that you don't like anymore, and you're going, oh, I don't want to do that. Don't be afraid to let things go. Don't be afraid to clear out the rubbish and go, I don't want that anymore. No, I'm getting rid of that. That belief that I used to have, oh no, where does that come from? No, I don't need that anymore. Let's put it away. I don't need that. That's not going back into that cupboard. This is the point to start making the choices around what you do want. Okay, so these energies are really going to be illuminating for you what you actually want the new to look like. And one of the biggest messages I can say for this whole new moon, for this whole period until the solstice, but particularly this new moon, is conscious choice. Be very conscious in your choices. Okay, this is not a time to be thinking, oh well, I've always done it that way, so oh yeah, I don't really want to, but I'll keep hold of it. It's not time for that. There's a bravery needed here. There's a sense of, actually, when I come into the new world, the new way of being, after we've got past the chaos of the end of the year and the start of the new one, and we come into the new stuff, what do I actually want? Who do I really want to be? What do I want my life and my business to really look like? Because a bit like nature right now, the seeds dropping everywhere, they're going into the ground. You're planting the seeds now for what's going to come up next spring. So think about very deliberately, do you want that thing to be a seed that's planted, or do you want to go, no, I'm going to put that away, I'm going to get rid of that, I want this one? And there's a sense of bravery that's needed here as well. It might be that you don't know how that's going to work, but that doesn't mean you can't choose it. If it's something you want, the how will emerge, the how will show itself. But if you go, I'm not going to be this person anymore, I'm not going to do this thing anymore, it might even be a product in your business, whatever it is. If you're thinking, this doesn't feel right anymore, it's time for me to do this instead, make that choice. This is the point to make the choice, but be really conscious about it. One of the really key messages for this particular new moon, and I'm going to come into more details about it, is we create our own reality. Okay, and when we work more in harmony with the new universe, and Libra is all about balance and harmony. So this new moon is really about creating that balance and harmony within yourself. but also in conjunction with the world around you and the wider universe. One of the things that's really showing up right now, really strongly for me, this has been a really big message that I've had, is about the duality, okay? Libra is about balance, it's about the scales, it's about justice, it's about fairness, but it's also about the two sides of things, and it is that duality. You cannot have the light without the darkness. You cannot have one without the other. You need both, and you need to balance them, whether that is what's going on globally or within yourself or the emotions you're having or the sense that you're having in your business. You need both to be in existence. And the thing that is really coming through is learning to be okay with that duality. If you didn't have the bad days, you wouldn't appreciate the good ones. If every day was a good day, you'd have nothing to balance it and compare it to. So it's really acknowledging and accepting that duality is really key and core, and it's an important part of life, even though it feels unpleasant in the moment. And don't get me wrong, the bad days are never nice, but when you accept within yourself, okay, this is part of how it needs to be. Why is this a bad day? Why is this, what's this showing me? Come at it from a place of, yeah, I'm feeling this and it's really not great, but what's it trying to show me? There's something here for me, and approach it from that angle with curiosity and learning rather than going, oh, another bad day, or I feel awful, I'm going to feel dreadful. I'm not disputing the fact you might feel dreadful on those days, but also add in, I wonder why. Because that gives you information to then work out, because usually the universe doesn't throw you these things unless there are lessons for you to learn. So it's working in partnership and harmony with the universe and what it's showing you. And particularly at this time of year, with Samhain coming up at the end of this month, Halloween, this is a real deep dive into the shadows. Okay, so there will be bits of you that are emerging, maybe things from your past that you haven't quite resolved or come to terms with, or maybe habits that you have that you think, oh, I've been meaning to change that, but I haven't done it yet. Those things will start to show up more and more. And this is where the radical conscious choice comes in. Do you still want those things to be there next year? And if it's not, do the work now. Really go there. And yeah, it's uncomfortable, but actually once it's done, it's done. You don't need to look at it again. You've sorted it. You've cleared out the cupboard and it's all shiny and lovely again. So it's really inviting you this time to allow yourself to go deep, even if it's uncomfortable, and really focus on what you're choosing for the future. Have your eye on the future. Another thing that's happening at the moment is we're in a place where I've already mentioned the old systems and structures are crumbling and the new is coming in at the same time. And you've actually got an overlap of two things happening at once. So it's noisy and chaotic. It's like you're still trying to clear out the old stuff from the cupboard at the same time as repainting it. Okay, you're trying to juggle around each other and it's a bit chaotic and it's a bit difficult, but keep with it, because the old is dismantling, the old is crumbling. Now that is on a global scale as much as it is on a personal scale. Okay, there are two timelines available right now, and I'm not going to go too far into this because it can get a little bit esoteric on this, but I'll give you the glimpse of it. So there are two timelines. One is, and these are definitely playing out on the world stage, one is the fear timeline. Let's keep everyone scared. Let's be in fear. Let's be in anger. Let's be, oh my God, I've got to do, I can't do this. It's all terrible. The fear timeline is very loud. It's very noisy, and it takes center stage, and it's trying its best to grab your attention. That's the old systems crumbling, and people and energies clinging on for as much attention as they can get, because your energy and your attention feeds that energy of fear and pain and anger and suffering. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about not having compassion for people who are suffering. I'm not talking that at all. But I'm talking about not getting caught up in the fear mongering and the energy of that, and being aware that that is very present and very loud. Okay, the fear timeline is the one standing there with the megaphones, hogging the news channels and all of that, doing the performance so that you can see that their give them your attention. Get my words out. But the alternative timeline is the love timeline. The love timeline is the one where you are sitting back with deep love for yourself, for the people around you, and for the whole of humanity and the planet. And when you have that deep love for yourself, you have more love to give to others. And you can send that love and that compassion and that healing energy out to the planet, to the people that are struggling and suffering. This isn't a form of spiritual bypassing the suffering and struggling that's going on. Absolutely not. But this is about when you choose to harness yourself and focus yourself with love rather than fear, you come from a place of true power and a solid foundation that can't be taken away by the noise and the fear. And the love timeline is very quiet. It's silent. You'll never see it on the news. You'll never hear about it, but it's happening. It is happening. And the more and more people disengage from the fear timeline and step into the love timeline, temporarily, the louder the fear timeline will get. That's going to happen. We can't dispute that. But it's desperate to get your attention. And actually, it's that quiet quitting is where the power lies. And more people are stepping into that. I'm seeing evidence of that all over the place. Like I say, it's not about bypassing what's going on, but it's about going, I'm doing this from a place of love, not from a place of, oh, what's going to happen about this? Fear. It's a different energy that it feeds. And the more love that we feed into this planet, the quicker and easier this process will become. And the dismantling of the old structures will be smoother and easier the more of us step into the love timeline rather than the fear timeline. So that is one of my public service announcements for today. Choose the love timeline. How do you do that? Well, it starts with love for yourself. Love for yourself is absolutely key. And knowing that, I'm afraid no one's coming to save you. You are you. You are a divine being in a human form right now. When you accept that and you accept the love that lies within you because of that, and your ability to love because of that, you realize that you take away that fear timeline. You step out of the fear and you become more empowered and going, oh, yeah, I'm okay. Now, this isn't a selfish, well, I'm okay, so they don't matter. This is I know I'm okay. Therefore, I have more that I can do to help and support. And that's how it works. So let's come on to the specifics of the new moon. Okay. So the new moon is happening next Tuesday, the 21st of October at 13:21, I think, off the top of my head, around about lunchtime-ish, next Tuesday. And one of the things that is just ridiculously crazy is all the other planets that are in alignment with it. Okay. And it's not just the planets. So You may or may not know about the extreme number of comets we have in our solar system right now. Now, I will very, very briefly touch on these, but I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. I'm following, there's a couple of people I'm following online about this, and sort of geophysicists and cosmologists and things. We have at the moment a total of 6 comets in our solar system. We've never in the history of knowing about these things had that many comets in our solar system at the same time, and they are all here right now. On top of that, we also have another, what they call an interplanetary object. It's not a comet. They don't know what it is. Scientifically, they don't know what it is. It's not acting like a comet, but it's called 3I Atlas. Okay. This has come from outside of our galaxy. It's an intergalactic object of some sort. Okay. The science hasn't got to it yet. But what you've got happening on the new moon, at the point of the new moon, we have what is called a superior conjunction with this 3I Atlas, not a comet. It doesn't act like a comet. It doesn't work like, it doesn't look like a comet. This alien body of whatever it is, whatever structure it ends up being. What a superior conjunction means is you have the Earth in a straight line with the sun, and 3I Atlas is in a straight line beyond the sun, in an absolute flat line between, called a superior conjunction. So you have Earth, Sun, 3I Atlas at the point of the new moon, which is pretty unusual. The other thing that's going on is you also have 2 other comets, Swan and Lemon, and like I say, I'm not a cosmologist, so I don't know all the details of these, but they are also in alignment, in very close alignment, not the superior conjunction, but with other, whether it's a square or a trine, with the moon at that point at the same time. Now, what's unusual about all of these, without getting into too much technicality, is they are all flying on the ecliptic plane. Now, the ecliptic plane, I'll try and explain this in English so it's not science speak, because I've been immersing myself in this stuff. If you imagine our solar system, so you have the sun and all of the other planets, you've got Mercury and Mars and Venus and the Earth and stuff, and they all fly around. The ecliptic plane, they go around each other, but they're more or less on a flat plane when they do it. They're not spinning that way. Okay, they're going flat. That flat is the ecliptic plane. Now, these comets are coming in more or less on that ecliptic plane as well, which never happens, or has never happened before that we are aware of, since we've been able to monitor these things. Usually they come in at an angle and they go in some sort of weird circle around and then disappear off, or whatever it is. But this time they're all coming in on the ecliptic plane as well. So they're absolutely mirroring our planetary alignment. Now, there's an awful lot of noise out there about what they are and all the rest of it. The reality is, in practical terms, in science terms, they are all exerting a geomagnetic force on our planet. So whether or not, comets always do, but the proximity to them and to the Earth, the proximity to the ecliptic plane, the proximity to the sun and the other planets, means that they are exerting a force, an electromagnetic force on our Earth. Which means they will be impacting us in some way. Now, there are schools of thought that say they are also conscious, and you can tap into that if you want to. There are others that say they're not, and all sorts of conspiracy theories, as I'm sure you can imagine with this stuff. But the reality is, even if you ignore all of that stuff, geophysically, they have to be having an impact on the planet. They will make, a bit like solar storms, impact, solar flares impact our planet. They impact the atmosphere, they impact the energy of the way the planet works. And the fact that these are happening in a superior conjunction at the exact point of the new moon feels very relevant. I do not personally believe that they are anything negative. I believe that this is all part of the overall ascension process that we're going through as we clear out the old systems and we become a more aligned humanity and planet as a whole. That's my personal view on these. And I think there's a lot of love and healing coming with these energies. But in order for that to happen, we need to clear out the old stuff. Back to the cupboard again. You've got to take the stuff out the cupboard before you can put the new one in and make it look shiny and pretty. Okay, so that's what we're doing. We've also got Pluto has just gone direct. It's been retrograde for a few months. It went direct yesterday, in fact, 14th. Now, I'm going to be honest, personally, I'm always really impacted by Pluto. I think it's because of where it's placed in my chart and where it's hanging around at the minute, how it's impacting me. Pluto is all about transformation. Pluto is the outermost planet that goes into the depth and the darkness and allows you to really look inside yourself. So Pluto is quite often associated with sort of Persephone in Greek mythology, that darkness, that depth, that or the underworld part of it. But with Pluto now going direct instead of retrograde, it means we've been looking inward and it's now going, okay, so what am I going to do to put that transformation out into the world? That's why it aligns with this being a choice point. So if you found yourself, particularly over the last couple of months, going, I've done a lot of inner work. I've done a lot of inner work, huge amount of inner work. I mean, believe me, I've done tons. And it's now the energy literally from yesterday. And it's not a fast planet. It's a slow moving planet, but it's now going, okay, so how are you going to show up in the world differently? That's the energy that we're feeling right now. How are you going to use the things that you've dealt with and got rid of and sorted out? How are you going to show up differently? What's your expression to the rest of the world going to be? We've also, at the same time as the new moon, got Neptune, it's retrograde at the minute, at 0 degrees of Aries. Now, 0 degrees of Aries is the very beginning point of the zodiac, and it's known as the creator degree. It's really powerful. So, really for this new moon in particular, particularly with Neptune there, you can create anything you want. And that's where the conscious choice needs to come in. Because if you set intentions at this new moon that say, well, you know, I'd quite like maybe a new car and some new clients, and I'd like this to happen, but you're a bit woolly about it and you're not prepared to do the work. Those things might come in, but they might come in a way that you're not expecting. But if you're going, right, I'm stopping that limiting belief and I'm going, no, I don't want that. I want this. I want to have this impact. I want to do this. And you're really conscious and intentional about it. That's what you're going to seed. That's the point. So it's like it's supercharging your choice under this new moon and your intention setting. Now, I always say focus on the next sort of 28 days, new moon to new moon, for an intention, but also have an eye on what you want for next spring onwards. And when I say spring, I'm talking sort of from about start of February really onwards. You know, I'm talking that we've just got out of the really dark part of winter and starting to think the spring. What do you really want to happen? What do you really want? Be very intentional and conscious with it. The other thing just to say is that your inner thoughts, your inner attitude, and the way you show up in the world for yourself and for the people around you is what's going to be reflected back to you. So if you have a limiting belief and you're sitting in that fear timeline rather than the love timeline, you're going to bring more of that back towards you. And this is really going to be amplified with this new moon, but then all the way up to Halloween, Samhain. Okay, it's going to be really amplified. There's quite a lot of dense energy going on from that period, particularly from the 24th, the final 7 days of October. There's a lot of dense energy and you might feel very tired. You might need to rest a lot, and that's okay. Do allow yourself to rest. Nature is slowing down, but be aware of your thoughts. And if you have a repeating thought, I'll share this one. I've had one recently. Repeating thought that's come in that I know isn't mine. Well, I know where it used to be mine. It dates back 30 years ago. And there was this thought that I had about the way things were for me. And I was like, and it keeps reappearing. And I've had to go, no, I will not listen to that. That is not relevant for me anymore. And it's taken a degree of determination and conscious choice to go, no, I'm spotting you. I'm not here for that anymore. That's what these energies are asking you to do. Because when you focus on your truth, on your inner love, and your absolute consciousness, you choose the way you want things to be. This is where your actions inwardly will be communicating with the universe, and the universe will reflect that back to you. So if you're spending time ruminating on something really negative and not nice and negative energies, oh, that person was nasty to me, oh, I want nasty things to happen to them, or something like that, that's what the universe is going to be looking at and going, oh, that's the kind of thing that you want. Okay, that's what we'll make happen. So if you want things to be sparkles and light and love and joy, really consciously focus on that, because that's what the universe is going to reflect back to you. And it might take some conscious choosing in your brain to do that. Be very aware of that. So, gosh, I've waffled a lot there. I say there was a lot of information here. There's a huge amount. It's time to choose. It is time to choose what you really want going forward. And love is the answer to everything, really. In terms of your business, think about this from the place of you're planting seeds now, and what you choose now is what's going to come to fruition. And you're setting the seeds now in the same way nature is planting seeds for next spring. You're setting the seeds now with what you choose now for what's going to come to fruition next year in 2026 for you. So be very conscious, and truth is everything. So really be honest with yourself. What do you really want? Not what you think you ought to want. Not what you think other people expect you to want, but you, in the quietness of your soul, what do you really want? Is it money? Is it freedom? Is it time? Is it people? Is it actions? Is it whatever it is for you? There is no right or wrong. There's only what's true for you. But be honest with yourself about it. And like I said earlier, you don't have to know the how yet. That will emerge. But think about what it is you want and be very conscious in choosing that. And really, when you come to the new moon and setting intentions under this new moon, really think about, what do I really want to be happening from early 2026 onwards? And plant those seeds now. But get very honest with yourself. So I'm going to open up to any questions, if you have any, because I've got through a lot there, huge amount there, and I've probably missed stuff because there is So much going on. Yeah.
Only I'm interested a little bit in the science of it, in
Hmm.
a little bit more about how the comets affect the planet.
Okay, so I can give you a link to a guy that I follow on YouTube, Stefan Burns. He's brilliant, American. He's all over this. So he is a geophysicist who it's relevant to me for me to explain who he is because it then helps answer the question as well. He's a geophysicist who studies the connection between solar activity, solar flares and things like that, and earthquakes and volcanoes on the planet. So that's his speciality. So he's monitoring all of this. Um, I mean, he's got a huge amount to say about recent massive earthquake and volcano activity, certainly earthquakes. There's been some really unprecedented big earthquakes happening around the planet, particularly around the Ring of Fire, Kamchatka in Russia. Also, there's been some in Drake's Passage, which is the bit between Antarctica and South America, and lots of other, and Philippines and things as well. Now, a lot of these have been actually underwater rather than on land, but not all of them. There have been, I know in the Philippines, there was some casualties there, unfortunately. But he's monitoring these and he is looking at these from the perspective of the way the geomagnetic forces of solar flares and also comets impact the Earth have an impact on the physics of the way the planet moves and breathes, if you like. Now, I'm not going into the technicalities of it because I am not a scientist myself, although I'm fascinated by it. I've been following him for a while. He's amazing. I'll drop you the link to his channel. Um, he gets very over enthusiastic about some of it. So, um, but also the way that comets work is that they have a, if you like, the tail behind them is full of it's dust and it's plasma and it's all sorts of other electromagnetic particles, which then trail out and hit atmospheres and so on. So it impacts the way that the Earth moves and shakes. And what he's noticed in particular is some very, very clear patterns in the links between solar activity, cometary activity, and larger earthquakes on the
Wow,
planet.
that's amazing.
It's fascinating. I'm obsessed. It's, but yeah. So yeah, Stefan Burns. I'll find his YouTube link and I'll pop it over to you because yeah, I'm fascinated by it. But Three Eye Atlas is different. And that's one of the things. There's a lot of talk about it, particularly in the spiritual world. There's a real sense that this is a form of consciousness, because it's intergalactic as well. It's not a comet. It's not acting like a comet. It doesn't have the same configuration and formation. Currently, we can't study it because it's literally behind the sun relative to where we are. It's coming into a conjunction with the sun from the other side, so we can't monitor it from this planet at the moment. Even the most powerful stuff we have, like James Webb and all the other space telescopes, can't because of their position relative to the sun. If you're staring straight at the sun, you can't see it. It has recently passed quite close by Mars, and they do have some monitoring equipment there, which have been, and these things take time to process, though. You know, NASA and ESA, or European Space Agency, are doing the analysis of what's come from there, and whether or not they release data will remain to be seen. But yeah, I mean, it's fascinating stuff, but the Three Eye Atlas is very different because it is intergalactic, which most comets are not. Most comets originate within our solar system. So that's why it's unusual and causing quite a lot of interest, I would say.
That's incredible. Yeah,
And the other thing with that Three Eye Atlas, if we're going there, is that Three Eye Atlas is going to be at its closest point to the Earth on the 19th of December, which is 2 days before the solstice. I don't believe it's a coincidence. In the same way, it's not a coincidence that it's in a complete superior conjunction on this new moon.
Mm.
It's too precise, and it feels like it is an energy of love and consciousness and healing coming through. That's my sense of it.
I really hope so.
I believe it is. I believe it is. There's a real energy of balance and harmony coming through right now if you choose to tap into it. And that's where I personally find switching off from news, media, etc., and what's going on, because for millennia there have been bad things happening on the planet to people who don't deserve bad things to happen to them. At least we believe so. Who are we to say whether they deserve them or not? I don't believe anyone deserves anything. We don't know our karmic patterns and things like that. We have no idea, right? We can't say. But that doesn't mean we don't have compassion for it and for the planet. One of the things that I do is someone else I follow, I'm proper fangirl of, is Pam Gregory. She's an incredible astrologer, and she's set up a meditation every single day at 7 p.m. It's not online or anything. You just do it yourself, and it literally sends love and healing to anyone who needs it on the planet.
Wow, that's
And that,
beautiful.
and I get involved in that. Not every day because that's not practical, but as much as possible. I think that it sends an energy of love
Mm.
to those that need it. That's, for me, that's the love timeline
Mm.
rather than the fear timeline going, oh my God, all these bad things are happening.
Yeah.
It's trying to change your perspective on it, I suppose, as well, and accepting there is always duality. But I believe that we're moving to a place where there will be less of that duality. Because we've got Pluto is in Aquarius, which is all about community and power to the people rather than the top down. That's what's shifting. That is what's shifting. And that's what's playing out right now.
I, I really feel it. I really feel that we are in the end of days of this last 15 years of existing through social media. I think
Yes.
we're really coming to the end of that period now. It feels very real to me that
Mm.
people are more and more understanding or acting upon the knowledge that we've had for some time, which is this is not helping.
Yes. Yeah,
And it's not
absolutely.
fulfilling what we hope it would fulfill.
Yeah.
And and also going back to what you were saying before about the the people have had things happening to them, bad things happened to them since the world began.
Yes.
And a lot of the anxiety that we feel that we have comes from knowledge that as a human being we don't have the capacity to receive all of
Yeah.
the all of the things that are happening outside of our control
Yeah.
are very anxiety inducing because
Yes.
and we as human as physical beings we are not equipped to deal with that information because it's only in the last couple of 100 years we would even know what happened to someone living 100 miles away, let alone
Yes.
every 6 billion person on the planet. So I
Yes.
think this is more and
Absolutely.
more helping us to understand. When you look at the cosmology of it, then you understand that
Yes.
it's bigger than us.
Absolutely. And it's also that, I mean, that's a really important point actually, because it is anxiety inducing. And as a species, we haven't evolved to deal with
No.
that. You're absolutely right. But also for me, that's where it brings the importance of it comes into you. It's you itself. When you are grounded, solid, and in love with yourself, literally in love with yourself, you have that core stability, you find yourself in a place of having compassion for people who are suffering, of course, but not being personally impacted by it, at least in a way that induces that anxiety. That doesn't mean you won't be impacted by things. I'm not trying to, like I say, this isn't about bypassing what's going on. And you may be impacted by stuff. There may be things that happen in your personal life, that in people you know, and stuff does happen. It's not about saying that's not true. But when you start from a place of, I know who I am, I love myself, I'm solid in me.
Mhm.
When you start from there, you are better able to deal with
Mm.
what else happens.
And to not take on that anxiety inducing or have it
Yes.
affect you molecularly.
Yes, absolutely that. And it's there's a lot of things around keeping your energy clean and
Mm.
clear and not taking on board those things. Getting out in nature, connecting with the planet. We've got so disconnected from the planet, and part of this process overall is about us reconnecting with the planet.
Mm.
I've had my own personal experience of that very, very recently, where I've been it was funny actually. I had nudges for a while, sort of since I think the summer solstice back in June, and say I need to do more work on improving my telepathy skills. And I'm like, okay, I can look at that. Fine. I knew I have a little bit of it, but it's not one I've really focused on. But my guides have been coming in and going, more telepathy, more, you've got to focus on this more. And I'm like, okay. And I get to a point, and it was only a couple of weeks ago. And I did a meditation. I went in with my guides and I said, look, I've read things, I've watched things, I've consumed information, done stuff about telepathy, and I'm not really, it hasn't clicked. What am I missing? And I won't say they laughed at me because they don't do that, but they basically said, we never said with humans. Oh, that's where I'm going wrong. And it landed. It's actually with the earth, with the trees, with the plants, with nature. And as soon as I accepted that, I went back out into the park and it was like walking into a completely different place.
Wow.
My
So it's not that you can
connection,
hear the thoughts of other humans, it's that you can
it's
tap into the
I
energy of
can
the.
of the tree. I mean, I've
Wow.
tapped into energy of tree. I've always known whether a tree was friendly or not, and
Mm.
wanted to say hello or not when I go and say hello to them. But actually, I'm hearing a lot more. They're communicating a lot more. Different trees with different messages, different, and it's not just trees either. It's other plants. It's all of that stuff. So that's sometimes the messages you get are not always immediately obvious what they mean. I just assumed telepathy meant other humans. It's like, no, we never said that. Like, okay, thanks for that. Um, but actually, that connection with the earth is really important. And actually, the earth wants to communicate with us and wants to connect with us more. So it's really powerful,
Thank you.
really powerful. So, one thing I will mention, and apologies that I haven't mentioned this before now. On Friday, I know you, Marnie, here now, but for the benefit of those on replay as well, you've had an expansion audit with me before. I am running on Friday morning a free, I'm calling it the growth audit, and it's a group expansion audit basically. And it's free. And I'm doing this as a way of, because it's a time and place thing, it's the same questions. And I'm doing this as a sort of come along and see where you are right now. So if you would like to come to that, like I say, it's free. It's on Friday morning, 10 o'clock this week. You are very welcome. And I will put the link for that in the email that I send out as well with replay. But you'd be very welcome to come to that. I do have a workbook for you. I've tried to capture a little bit of what I've talked about today. Let me pop that in the chat for you, Marnie, if you want it.
Thank you.
And that's the link for the growth audit if you want it. I know you have already done an expansion audit yourself personally, but this is it's the same questions and it's done just as a group session rather than individually. But you'd be very welcome to come along if you'd like to, because those are always a time and place thing, to help you unlock exactly where you want to go next. So how you want to organize your cupboard, basically. That's what it is.
I love that analogy.
I'm going to have to use that in a post
It's
now.
fantastic analogy.
I'm going
And
to
like
have to
when you
use that in a
said
post.
that, I could just see like the amount of times that I've like when you've tried to rearrange the room and then like everything's in the middle and you're like, why did I start this? And
Why
you
did
just
I
want to have
start?
a cup of tea and a biscuit, and then like everything has to go. And then once you've done it, you're like, oh, that's fantastic.
And then you promise yourself you'll never do it again.
No,
And then
exactly. It's
3 months
yeah,
later, there you are going, why did I start this? It's always the same. Yeah. I'm going to use that in a post, I think.
brilliant. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Sonia. I really appreciate you
You are
taking time
so
to
welcome.
guide us through this. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. And thank you for those of you watching the replay as well. Any questions, get in touch and I will see you very soon. Take care.